Worst of the weather, including the flash flooding threat and an increasing risk of tornadoes.
You know, of course, I'm scared. I mean, honestly.
And western parts of our state are bracing for what could be the worst flooding in more than 100 years. We'll bring you to the areas most at risk, from the mountains to the Triangle. WRAL's live team coverage of Hurricane Helene starts now.
And we'll start with a few live looks for you here right now at the Florida coast. That's Naples on the left side of your screen, on the right, just outside of Fort Myers, as Hurricane Helene has strengthened now to a very powerful Category 4.
We have seen flooding all across our state tonight, including Raleigh. This is video of the floodwaters on St. Mary's Street near College Place. Glenwood Avenue also seeing water pooling on the roads. This is video near Roanoke Park. All that heavy rain creating bad backups on the road.
Perhaps the hardest hit part of our state, certainly the mountains. This drone footage here of Buncombe County showing flooding near Carrier Park. This is along French Broad River. We have crews in that area reporting for you this evening. Thank you for joining us here at 7 o'clock. I'm Dan Haggerty.
And I'm Ashley Rowe. Helene's early bands have already brought 2 tornado warnings to Wake County. The risk for tornadoes continues tomorrow.
Several school districts are closed tomorrow. That includes Durham. Orange is closed, Chatham, Edgecombe, Granville, Lee, and Moore County schools. So many districts being impacted here. We do have a look at the radar tonight. Helene has several states blanketed with rain. This is, again, just the early stages.
The storm is expected to make landfall in Florida in just about an hour, 8 o'clock tonight. We have crews positioned all over the state, from our area to western North Carolina. We'll be tracking conditions now until this storm is gone.
Let's, of course, get things started with meteorologist Kat Campbell in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. It's going to be a long night, Kat.
This is an incredibly dangerous and powerful hurricane, not to mention how large it is to begin with, but a very clear-cut eye, and it's right around the eye here, the eye wall, where there's likely to be 130-mile-an-hour winds at landfall. So we are watching this very closely. Conditions are worsening in Florida, but the worst has yet to arrive. That's about an hour away. For us, we are already starting to see some heavy rain at times in the area. I actually think there's going to be a lull overnight, but the worst is going to come with some rain bands that rotate from the coast all the way on shore beginning tomorrow morning. And overnight, we are expecting to see a brief lull. In the meantime, there remains a flood advisory in effect until 8 p.m. That includes Raleigh, much of Wake County, up into Durham, and there are no active tornado warnings anymore. We're continuing to monitor some cells out there, but nothing particularly concerning at this point. In fact, starting to dry out in Johnston County as that pushes to the northwest. For tonight, still a low wind threat of severe weather and a tornado, but I think once we get past midnight, we get a lull tomorrow morning. That's the concern here. I think it's pretty likely that we'll be placed under a tornado watch tomorrow morning. A level 3 out of 5 risk, a pretty high risk for Fayetteville as well as Wilmington tomorrow. And for us in the Triangle and much of our viewing area, a level 2 out of 5 risk. So let's take a look at the timing as we move toward landfall tonight as a Category 4 hurricane. That's going to be the worst of it for Florida, but the hurricane force winds will extend all the way to the east coast of Florida. That's how large the wind field is. For us, notice the lull in the rain after midnight. I do think that we will get an overnight break, but this is what we are concerned with. That is the main rain band that's going to be especially dangerous and present that tornado threat tomorrow morning. I did want to point something out. Macon, Georgia, even up to Atlanta, we could have nearly a Category 2 hurricane. So Helene just doesn't lose much intensity as it moves inland. 8 a.m. during the morning commute, we start to see the dangerous rain band pushing in out of South Carolina into our area. That'll be with us as we move toward 10 a.m. likely in the Triangle. And I think the worst of it looks like it would be over in the Triangle probably by about 1 p.m. Our eastern counties by about 2 p.m. And then as we get to tomorrow afternoon, there could be a few spotty showers left, but we begin to see improvements. And by tomorrow night, it actually looks like it'll be pretty nice out tomorrow night. A flood watch is in effect in our area. That'll last until tomorrow afternoon. We also have a wind advisory. I'll have more on that coming up in just a few minutes.
I am grateful that the worst of it for us won't be in the overnight hours when people are asleep. Well, at least people will be up. ready to pay attention to what our meteorologists are seeing. Kat, thank you so much.
Let's send things over now to Brian Schrader in the WRAL Live Center right now. Brian, you are keeping an eye on all the feeds, including the WRAL Storm Tracker.
That's exactly right. And it has been on the road this afternoon, of course, in Wake County and in parts of Durham County. We had that tornado warning earlier. Didn't have any damage reports then, but take a look at a picture that we just got from Tom McDonald up on the northern side of Raleigh in the Quail Hollow neighborhood. You can see where a tree fell on that truck there. We're going to interview him and hear what he has to say coming up later tonight on WRAL News at 10. WRAL Storm Tracker on the road right now in Raleigh and on Wake Forest Road. And you can see that the rain is coming down, and that is going to be a common sight all across our viewing area through the day tomorrow. I want to talk about how they're getting ready in the mountains. This is the official NOAA forecast for the Swannanoa River at Biltmore Village, and it's saying that tomorrow we could see a crest around 21 feet. Now, the record is 20.7 feet back in 1916. So what could that look like? We went back in the WRAL archives and found this video from Biltmore Village back in September of 2004 when the remnants of Hurricane Francis brought terrible flooding to that area. And at that point, the Swannanoa River was at 19 feet. So the forecast for tomorrow calls for another foot or so, even higher. That was a devastating storm back then, so you can see that they are getting ready for potentially historic flooding in the North Carolina mountains.
Wow. Man, oh man. Brian, thank you.
Incredible video, and the potential there, really scary to think about. Hey, we want to bring you to Asheville live now, one of the hardest hit parts of our state tonight.
WRAL's Willie Danley, you see him there near a road that's been closed because of flooding. Several areas around there already getting hit there. Willie, what have you seen?
Well, we've seen a lot. We've traveled well over 200 miles today and seen the impact that this hurricane is having on the western part of our states. We're standing here on Lyman Street in downtown Asheville. You can see that this road is closed off. That water goes up well above my ankle. This is right next to the French Broad River. I just spoke to a business owner in this area. He's saying that they're expecting for this flood water to hit historic levels that they haven't seen since around 1906. You can see all these businesses along this street have closed their doors. The shop that I'm referring to right now, they're actually an electric bike tour company. They've removed all their materials, thousands of dollars of materials from inside of that store because they don't want to get any of that damaged, and they're expecting that those floodwaters are going to cover their basement level business. I spoke to another woman here in Asheville, and she says it's a completely different sight being out here with this storm happening. This is usually a bustling area with breweries and restaurants, and all of that's closed now. We're going to continue to stay out here and keep you updated on how the storm's impacting the western part of our state. Back to you.
All right, Willie, thank you. Hey, I also want to get you some video of early flooding from our area. Several roads closed. This is in Johnston County because of high waters. Still, drivers tried to drive through them. We're told, that's not a good idea from authorities. WRAL's Brett Neese talked with people who live nearby to ask how they get around when the Neuse River floods like this.
This is Crantock Road, and you can see the water doesn't look very deep, but it is rushing over the top of this roadway, making for a dangerous situation. Some drivers are more bold than others. Are you going to risk it?
Nope. Turn around, don't drown.
William McEwen says the risk that comes with driving through floodwaters is not worth it to him. Despite it never being safe to do so, several drivers are taking that risk.
Why people would risk basically life and limb and property to save a small amount of time other than driving around a posted detour.
Johnson County has road closed signs along both Crantock and Smith roads due to flooding. You can see and hear how fast the water is moving. The road closures causing some kids to get to area schools later than usual Thursday morning. Johnson County Public Schools posted this warning on Facebook about these two roads.
I just like looking at it. It's fascinating.
Stephen White just wanted to get an up-close look at the fast-moving waters. White says with more rain on the way, these roads will likely remain closed for a couple more days.
And they got it completely blocked off. I usually drive through it, but not when it's like this.
But it's never safe to drive through floodwaters, no matter what, because even shallow water can have a deep impact. Brett Neese, WRAL News, Johnston County.
From the moment the storm impacts even one of us, we are with you the whole way. Download the free WRAL app to stay up to date. And there are things you can and should do to prepare for any storm. Find that checklist on WRAL.com.